Hi everyone and welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
Yes, you are.
I am. Yeah.
And we're on today's TOEIC article, or this month's TOEIC article. It's all going to be about kind of cars and changing up to a new car. We've got a bit of sort of something to read for day 2. Day 1 is the discussion leading into it. So let's discuss, what do you remember about learning to drive?
It was a challenge.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge. But it was fun. I kind of enjoyed it. You know, I went to the classes. You have to learn in the classroom and watch the films.
Oh,
and,
really?
Answer the questions.
Must
in
be
Canada.
different. Yeah,
in Canada you did.
Pretty much went straight into the car.
And then driving around in the parking lot of the empty shopping mall with my dad.
Right, yeah.
And then taking the test and then...
Failing the test.
Yep, exactly.
Failed once, you?
Well, it's a complicated story.
Okay.
We won't go into it. We don't have time. And then, of course, getting into your first minor accident in the first 6 months to 1 year of driving. I think everyone does that. Mine was like, just bumping into someone in a parking lot.
Yes.
Nothing bad happened. The police didn't get involved.
Yeah, a bit of a scratching paint job.
My sister scratched the car in her first 6 months. I think it's a tradition. So there you go. But now I think of myself as a decent driver. I drove actually from one end of Britain, from England all the way up to Scotland a couple years ago. Didn't kill anyone.
Excellent.
Didn't crash the car. And the taxi driver in London, when he heard our plan, I remember he looked in the mirror as he was driving us and he went, "Good luck." And I was really nervous. But so I think I'm an okay driver. I've driven from one end of Britain to the other and driven across Canada once. And I didn't kill anyone. So I think that's okay.
I probably can't even drive anymore. It's been about 15 years.
Wow.
I wouldn't want to get behind a wheel without probably taking more lessons again.
It'll come back.
Yeah,
it'll come back.
We'll see. What we're talking about today isn't learning to drive, but actually dealing with the kind of cars we have. So let's read through day 1 and find out what it's all about.
Vroom, vroom.
Reading. To sell or not to sell? That is the question.
Hey, so what do you think about our car now that our kids have grown up?
Well, it seems way too small if we want to go away for a weekend of camping.
Yeah, we badly need to replace it with something bigger. Do you think we should trade it in or sell it?
I would advise selling it because we won't get as much value from trading in our car.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. If we sell the car ourselves, we could make more money. That is an advantage if we want to spend more on a bigger car.
Right. But it would be much easier to just trade in the car for a new one. We could save a lot of time in the process.
I know it will be more work to sell the car, but we could make a modest 10 to 30% profit compared to trading it in.
I see your point. Okay, let's sell the car.
Great! I'll start writing the advertisement.
So our article for today, it's a conversation between Ross and Rachel. For, I guess, Friends fans out there will get get the reference. But Rachel starts and says, "Hey, so what do you think about our car now that our kids have grown up? Of course, at different times of life for a family, you might need different cars. You know, a smaller one is fine when you're a couple. You'll need a bigger one when you get kids.
True.
And an even bigger one as the kids grow up because they need more space and you have more luggage." And that relates to the phrase "now that." Now that is used to introduce a particular situation, pretty much a current situation, and indicate that it's different from before. For example, now that I have a new job, I can afford a bigger house. Now that I have a new boss, I'm not so happy about working here. All this kind of times are changing. Now that this is the case, what is different?
Or even something that was different just a few minutes ago. Now that it's raining, we should take a taxi instead of walking. Something like that. Because, yeah, things have changed, and now this is what we're talking about. So now that they have the kids, it's time to get rid of that cool little sports car they had and and get something bigger and probably safer as well. People like that big safe car when they have kids. And Ross says, well, it seems way too small if we want to go away for a weekend of camping. Yeah, okay, that cool little two-seat sports car that they had when they were young and single or newly married was great, but getting the kids and maybe the dog and maybe the tent and the sleeping bags and the food and all the other stuff they need to take when they go camping, for example, or a day at the beach or a 3-day road trip down to see grandma or something like that, this little car is too small. Definitely.
Rachel agrees and says, yeah, we badly need to replace it with something bigger.
Wow, it's a serious situation.
Yeah, badly need, maybe it shows every time they try to get in the car and go somewhere, there's just not enough space. They're having to put things on the top, under their feet, all that kind of thing.
Babies hanging out the window.
Oh yeah, so it's time to replace it. So if you replace something, you are either getting rid of one thing for another, maybe switching A for B. This is often used when you're getting rid of an old thing and you're getting a new thing. Eventually your phone stops working so well, or it's just too slow, so you replace your old phone with a new one. Your clothes and shoes wear out, so you replace them with new clothes and new shoes. Here's another example. This lamp doesn't work. I think we need to replace the light bulb, so take out the old one, put in a new one.
And if you replace the light bulb and the lamp still doesn't work, you might have to replace the whole lamp.
Indeed.
All right. Well, Rachel's thinking about now, a new car. She's kind of in new car buying mode. That's what her mind is on now. So she says, do you think we should trade it in or sell it? These are some options for things they can do with the old car. And so, yeah, if you're thinking about buying something new, especially something that you might use for a long time, that might be kind of expensive as well, like a car, one of your options might be to trade the old one in. To trade something in, this phrasal verb basically means you have something that still works, it's still okay. If it's totally broken, you probably can't trade it in. So it still works, but maybe it's not quite as new as it used to be, but it still has some value. You could sell it secondhand or, give it to someone who doesn't have one and they could continue to use it for a few years or whatever, but you decide to bring it to a place that sells new ones. You'll get the new one, but they'll make it cheaper because you'll give them the old one, and they'll use the old one, maybe take it apart and use the bits inside. They might sell the old one for a lower price to someone who wants to buy a second-hand or used car or something like this. So of course we do this with cars, right? Cars can last quite a long time. You might do this with your computer, with your old television, with an old fridge or something like that. As we say, if the television has a crack in it, if the fridge doesn't work, if the car is crashed and it's all broken, you won't really be able to trade it in. But if it still works, you can probably give it to someone and they'll give you the new one at a lower price and they'll take your old one.
So that's a good question. Do you take it back to a car sales, a dealer or whatever, and say, here's my old car, I'd like some money off a new one? Or do we just sell it ourselves to somebody else? Sell it online.
Just use the money from that.
Exactly. Well, Ross has his opinion. He says, I would advise selling it because we won't get as much value from trading in our car.
True. So you could sell it, say, for 100,000 NT, but if you trade it in, you might only get 60,000 NT off the new car.
Yeah, because car dealers don't really always want that kind of second-hand car, and they also know exactly what they can get for it, so they won't give you a big, generous price.
And it's also a lot of trouble, much more trouble to sell the car yourself. Right, have people come over, look at it all the time, put an ad on the internet. So by trading in, and you're kind of avoiding all that trouble.
Yeah, but Ross seems to advise selling it to get the extra money.
He doesn't mind that trouble, that's fine.
Sure, to advise something is to recommend something, to suggest it, to say, this is a good idea, I think I should do it. Make sure you remember with a verb it's advise with the S. If it's a noun, you say advice with the C. Here's an example of advise. It's cold today, so I advise you to wear a warm jacket and a scarf.
No, that's what I would do if I was you. That's my best recommendation. So Rachel, she's kind of new to this. Maybe it's the first time she's ever had to think about getting rid of an old car. So she goes, oh, really? I didn't know that. She maybe thought that you'd get the same price no matter what you do with the car. But Ross knows a bit more. That's why he's advising that they sell it themselves. And he points it out, or he says more about it. If we sell the car ourselves, we could make more money. They won't have to pay anyone for selling it, doing that work for them. They can set whatever price they want and not have another person tell them the price that they'll get. So yeah, if you don't mind doing the work, you can make more money. And Ross says that is an advantage if we want to spend more on a bigger car. We'll make more money, we'll have more money to spend on our new car. Makes sense to me. Okay, and yeah, when you're advising people on things, you're often pointing out advantages. An advantage is basically something that's a little bit better. It might give you a bit of an edge if you're in some kind of game or contest. If you practice more, if you have more talent and skill and you're better prepared, that would give you an advantage, all right? So if you want to do well on your test and beat all your classmates and get the top score, well, study harder. That will probably help you get an advantage, get a little bit of an edge, get a little bit of a step ahead of your friends or your competitors in some kind of competition or something like that. For example, here's a very obvious one. Taller players usually have an advantage when playing basketball. Taller players, yes, usually have an advantage because, you know, they're taller, they're closer to the basket. Makes sense to me.
So Rachel seems to understand the advantages of doing this. They could get a bit more money than they could from just trading their car in. She says, right, but it would be much easier to just trade in the car for a new one. I don't think she really wants that kind of hassle, the bother, you know, the inconvenience of having to do it. And it could take a long time.
It could.
And so they have to kind of keep this car, but also they need other people to come and look at the car, which means they may not be able to use it as much. So it's a bit of an inconvenience.
Absolutely. And she says we could save a lot of time in the process. Yeah, absolutely. If you get someone who knows about this thing to do this thing for you, whether it's painting your house or fixing your washing machine or, you know, fixing your computer, you can probably save time, but it will cost you a little bit of money. But if you want things to be nice and easy, sometimes that's the way to go.
So Ross is aware that as well as the advantage of selling their car, there is a disadvantage.
Sure.
And he says, I know it will be more work to sell the car.
Yeah.
They've got to do all the stuff we've been talking about, posting an ad, deciding how much it's worth, maybe getting a mechanic just to do a quick fix on it, which is spending a bit of money. And then people have to come and they'll decide and you'll go back and forth about a price. It's more work.
There you go. But he points out, going back to the idea of making more money by doing it themselves, but we could make a modest 10 to 30% profit compared to trading it in. So if they're going to trade it in for $100,000, let's say, if they sell it themselves, they could get $110,000 or $130,000, 10 to 30% more, which, you know, when you're buying a new car, which often costs a lot, that modest amount of money will still be very, very useful. When we use modest in this way, we're not talking about a modest person, someone who they're kind of shy and they don't tell you how great they are. No, I'm just a normal person. No, here we're talking about a small or a slight amount. Okay, a modest difference is a small difference, not a great difference or a major difference. So something modest is small or slight. For example, if you got 80% on your last test and 82% on this test, that would be a modest improvement. You know, 2% more. Not a lot, but a small amount.
Yep, and in this case, this percentage, this modest percentage improvement is on their profit. So the word profit means the money you make, but the key point here is it's the money you make after your expenses. So if you buy something for $50 and you sell it for $80, your profit isn't 80, It's 30. It's the difference between what you spent and what you ended up making. That is your profit. It's that extra money after your expenses are kind of taken care of and accounted for. For example, you could say, we spent more money to open the store than we made, so we didn't make a profit. So there we go. They make a profit if they sell the car themselves.
That's right. Now Rachel's understanding a little bit more about, the different ways they can deal with this old car. So now she says, I see your point. I get it. I understand what you've been trying to explain. Okay, she says, let's sell the car. So Ross has convinced her that selling the car, going through that trouble, but making the extra money, that will be worth it. And so now she agrees. That's what they'll do.
Ross says, great. I'll start writing the advertisement. Now this word, you can say it advertisement, you can say it advertisement, both ways are fine. You can shorten it to advert or shorten it even more to ad. I'll write the ad. And an ad, an advert, an advertisement, this is some kind of promotional material. It could be an announcement, it could be a sign, it could be a picture, a video, a poster. It's something that gets people interested in the product and maybe has details so that they will either go and spend money on it, inquire about it, basically to get business for whatever you need the business for. For a movie, the advertisement could be a poster, it could be the movie trailers, that sort of thing. For a store, an advertisement, again, a poster, could be just a big sign saying sale, something like that. Now, if you're a company and you want to hire people for a job, you write this ad, or a job posting is another way to say it. You put it in a newspaper or more likely online so people will know, this company has a job and it wants to hire people. I'll reply to that ad. Here's another example. Have you seen that ad or have you seen that advertisement on YouTube for the new video game? So a little cool trailer made it look very interesting. You go, I can't wait till that comes out or that's available in the App Store. I will buy it. Now we're going to read that job post or the car selling advertisement, the posting in part 2 of our article tomorrow. But right now, let's go to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
Okay, so the question is, does your family have a car? Describe it. If not, describe one that you might want. I take it you don't have one here in Taiwan?
We do. My wife and I, we have a car.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It's an old car.
Okay.
It's her dad's old car.
Righto.
Yes. It's black.
Okay.
Do you want to know what kind it is?
I'm guessing you're not completely sure.
I think it's a Nissan X-Trail.
Oh, the first car I learned to drive in and my parents got for me and my brothers was a little Nissan.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first one. All three of us, me and my 2 younger brothers, all learned in the same car and then all had arguments about who should use it when we'd all passed our tests and were ready to drive.
And who won the arguments?
I'm the oldest, so I get priority and a couple of years of using it before they're even ready.
That's great. So what about now? What about what car do your parents or your family have now?
I've got no idea what anybody has at home. I know my parents will have a great big estate car because when I was growing up, they needed a big Volvo that had a huge trunk or boot space because there were 3 boys, and we needed that sort of size.
And they space in the back to fight about who gets the car.
And who has to sit in the middle seat. It's the youngest brother who gets that particular one. So my dad always had soft top cars, ones where you could take the roof off when it was sunny and drive around. So that was the one you wanted to go on a nice summer road trip in.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's always had cars like that just because that's his style.
He's a cool dude.
He is. A cool doctor driving around in a soft top.
Nice. But wait, it rains a lot in England. So did he put the top down very often?
In the summer, and there was a hard roof he could put. He had a soft roof and a hard roof for the parts of the year when the weather is bad, which is about 11 months of the year in the UK.
That is true. So how about you guys? What kind of car do you guys have at home or your family have? Describe it, talk about it, and maybe talk about the car you wish your family had if you have kind of a boring car like we do.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll see you
or
back
no
here.
car.
Or no car, yeah. We'll see you back here tomorrow for more. And we're going to be reading
the
car ad.
The car ad, that's right. We'll see you then. Bye for now.
Save your money.
Vocabulary Review. Replace. My father replaced the light bulb in the ceiling because it had burned out. Advise. My teacher advised me to study harder for the math final in order to pass the subject this semester. Advantage. Jack has an advantage when playing board games because he plays them much more often than everyone else. Modest. Jenny prefers only a modest amount of honey on her toast, so it's not too sweet. Profit. I bought a book for $100 NT and then sold it for $150 NT. I made a profit of $50 NT. Advertisement. Ad. I saw an advertisement for an interesting new body wash during a TV show's commercial break.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000。02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net